The day has finally arrived and the Sega Genesis Mini is now in our hands, and I have to say I am pretty dang excited about this. I never owned a Genesis growing up, so this is technically the first time I've ever bought a brand new Genesis, so I'm excited like a complete in-box Sega system that isn't my wonderful Game Gear up there. So for those of you who may or may not be aware, the Sega Genesis Mini follows the line of the NES Classic, SNES Classic, and PlayStation Classic. But note, it doesn't use the classic name, it just is Mini. How nice. But this guy is based on the Model 1 Genesis, comes with 2 of the original 3-button controllers, comes with 42 built-in games, and just looks absolutely fantastic. I love this box. I love that it is using the throwback grid style that the original Genesis games did before they changed over to the red stripe aesthetic. We've got Sonic the Hedgehog down here in his original incarnation when he first appeared on the box art of Genesis packaging. This is celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Genesis. This is so crazy to think that this system is 30 years old now. And then, of course, we can't forget that old-school Sega seal of quality up there. Gotta love that thing. I'm so happy to see this on products lately with the Genesis Mini here, and then, of course, the Retrobit Sega collaboration controllers. I just love seeing this seal anywhere I could see it. And then down here along the bottom, we have a little bit of a contents list. So we have the miniature Sega Genesis replica, ready to plug and play, includes 40 legendary games plus 2 bonus titles. But let's go ahead and look at the rest of this box real quick. So along the top we have Sonic hanging out up here, Sega Genesis, 16-bit video entertainment system, Sega Genesis Mini, and then a wonderful little render of the system and its controllers. Looks like there's a little background fog effect going on there. Nice, nice. Along the side we have the exact same thing here. Just more condensed, smaller. Nice. On the bottom, we have a crap ton of copyright information. All those different games. Capcom, Game Arts, Konami. Oh my goodness. Alright, anyway. HDMI. Woo. Alright. So the last side of the box, we have Sega Genesis Mini. This package includes Genesis Mini Console, 2 wired control pads, USB power adapter, power cable, and HDMI cable. The complete package. You won't need to supply your own power brick. Alright, moving on to the back, we have our first look at all of the included games, and my goodness, there are a lot of them. Man, Sega really did it right. 40 freaking games, nearly every single one of them a classic in their own right. Like, look at this. You got freaking Echo the Dolphin, Castle of Illusion. Like, that is still one of the best Mickey Mouse games ever made right there. Alex Kidd, Alicia Dragoon, Altered Beast, Beyond Oasis, Castlevania Bloodlines, Columns, Comic Zone, Contra Hardcore, Dynamite Heady, Earthworm Jim, Eternal Champions, Ghouls and Ghosts, Golden Axe, Gunstar Heroes, Kid Chameleon, Landstalker, Light Crusader, freaking Megaman the Wily Wars, Monster World 4, Phantasy Star 4, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Road Rash 2, Shining Force, Shinobi 3, Sonic Spinball, Sonic 2, Space Harrier 2, Street Fighter 2, Streets of Rage 2, Strider, whatever these two are because I can't freaking read them for some reason. My eyes kinda suck, I'm sorry. But anyway, Toe Jam and Earl, that is a friggin' classic. Vector Man, that was an amazing exclusive game at the time. Virtua Fighter 2, Wonder Boy, World of Illusion, and last but not least, the Sega Genesis port of Darius and Tetris. Like, this is an amazing package. Too bad Amazon had to screw mine up by putting a nice big old dent in mine. Look at that. Alright, friggin' punks. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this sucker opened up. Got a nice pull tab up here. Pops right open. More grid artwork. Nice. Oh, I'm so excited. Alright, so first things first, we have the power brick. So exciting, look at that, a power brick. Next up we have both of our 3-button USB game pads here. They come with a huge cord. That is no 3-foot controller that can't do much of anything. There we go, the original red and black 3-button colored schemed Sega Genesis controller. These guys are friggin' monsters. Look at them, they're huge. D-pad feels pretty good. I love the buttons. It's so weird not having anything on the shoulders. Just to do a sort of size comparison here, here is the Retrobit reprint of the Sega 6-button arcade pad. As you can see, it's a little bit smaller, a lot more curved. And a comparison to the Model 2 Sega Saturn controller we got here in North America. So this is the USB Sega Saturn controller, so this will work with the Genesis Mini for any games that I could possibly need 6 buttons for, so we'll go ahead and test this out later. But yeah, that feels really, really good. I'm really fond of this. And then of course we have the second one. Comes with 2. I'm glad that they started doing that after the NES Classic came out, because having to get a second controller was the frickin' worst. Sega Genesis Mini instruction manual. We'll take a look at that later. Here we have the USB cable to supply power. And then an HDMI cable. Alright, let's get to the main event here. This is all we're all looking for right here. The Mini itself. Oh, look at that. It comes in its own little separate box here. That's fancy. Alright. There it is. The Sega Genesis Mini. Oh, that is gorgeous. I've never owned a Model 1 myself, like I said, but my buddies always had the Model 1s, and so I've always been more of a Model 2 guy myself, despite having slightly lower sound quality. I just love that form factor, but this is really cool. The volume slider goes up, the reset button works, power button. The controller ports are in the right spot. They look aesthetically close. Got the power or the headphone jack up front. So for those of you who didn't know, the original Model 1 Genesis, despite having the better audio, only output mono through the video port. So if you wanted to have stereo audio, you had to use this headphone jack. It's so fascinating. Or attach a Sega CD if I remember correctly. But this is really, really neat. It's so cool looking. So that's where the old video port would be, power cable. Like, aesthetically, this thing nails it. And I believe that all of these like ports and stuff are like openable. So yeah, like you can even put something in the cartridge port. They have a separate add-on available in Japan that you can actually attach like a miniature replica of like Sonic the Hedgehog or Sonic and Knuckles and a Sega 32X to make a mini tower of power. It's really cool. And then I believe that the Sega CD expansion port opens up too. It sure does. I mean, it doesn't do anything other than being aesthetic, but that is such a cool touch. And, alright, let's look at the bottom here. There's even the places where you would slide in the Sega CD. When you got a Sega CD, it'd have a metal plate that would attach to the bottom of this to keep it from moving when attached to the Sega CD. So that way it wouldn't just slide out. So that's really cool. Vents look like they're in the right spot. But yeah, this guy looks fantastic. So I have heard about this guy having some sound issues from the diehard fans of the Genesis. So I'm honestly wondering if I'll even be able to really notice too much of a difference, because I'm not the biggest Genesis diehard. Like, there's games on here I love, like Phantasy Star 4. I absolutely adore that game. And I've played a ton of Sonic, so I mean, I'm just wondering if I'll even be able to tell. Like, probably in Street Fighter. Street Fighter 2 would probably be the biggest one I could tell if there's something wrong in. But honestly, considering what you're getting in this package, freaking Megaman Wily Wars even, like, for $80, like, this is really cool way to get legit copies of a lot of these titles. Because, I mean, Phantasy Star 4 is a pretty rare game. Contra Hardcore is a very rare game. That doesn't even exist anywhere else, and that is like 7 copies in the world, so there are some exceptionally rare titles on this, and that's what makes this so fascinating and interesting to me, besides just being an awesome, cool little mini collectible. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this sucker plugged in and see what we're looking at, and see if I can even tell about these audio issues.
Alright, so I just finished getting the Sega Genesis Mini plugged in, and now I'm going to turn this sucker on and see what we're dealing with. Alright, cool. So language selection right off the bat. Got a number of different languages available. Alright, so here we are on the main menu, and I gotta say, I just love it. The box arts are authentic to their original released versions. So we have grid boxes, we got the checkerboard box of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, we got the red spines, like, it's all here. Street Fighter 2's box, yes. The original planned concept for Megaman, the Wily Wars box, like, that's so great. Tetris, like, oh, this just looks so awesome. Vector Man had that original, like, holographic cover art to it, so it's a little bit different colored than the regular red spines. Like, this is awesome. Sorting options, genre, number of players, release date, A to Z, like, this is great. Let's see here. Screen settings, we've got stretch and 4:3, it looks like. And then you can apply a CRT filter to both. That's pretty neat. So there's different wallpaper settings available as well. I think I like this one. But then I also heard that if you change the languages, it changes the menu. And sure enough, it does. Look at that. That is so crazy. That is absolutely crazy. And if you press the B button, it changes it to a spine mode. Like, that's cool. There's different widths and heights for the game cases in spined mode. Same right here too. Like, this is really cool. There's a lot of detail that went into this menu. Change it back over to English here. Yeah, this is really cool. I freaking love this. Now, if only there was a way to look at the back of the boxes. Anyway, let's go ahead and start digging into some gameplay here, because I just really want to see how it handles compared to the other classics that have been released over the last few years, because I am not too fond of the NES and SNES classics. The system they were built on just isn't powerful enough to provide a good level of experience to me. I'm kind of a stickler for emulation quality. I mean, these are meant for a casual market. I'm not the target audience for this system, and that's fine. I still love having them, but I wonder how well the Genesis Mini holds up besides the aforementioned audio delay others have mentioned. And again, I wonder if I'll notice. But let's go ahead and jump into Golden Axe, because this is a game I used to play with my friends a ton. My buddy could not get over old Amazon woman back there. Oh, this is cool. A little synopsis about the game and everything. Like, this is awesome. Alright, for old time's sake, gonna be the girl for my buddy. I've spent hours playing this game. I already messed up. We really did spend hours playing this game growing up. It was a blast. Like, this game on 2 players, just so fun. The sequels were definitely better, but like I'm just happy to see this included. So far I'm not noticing any audio delays. I remember this game being a lot easier. Oh my gosh, they are tag teaming me like nobody's business. Alright, well that was rough. Alright, anyway, so to get back to the main menu, you have to hold down the start button for 5 seconds. It's not so bad. Better than having to go to the console and press the reset button, Nintendo. Save states, load states. That's awesome. I can't not include Megaman the Wily Wars in this video, so let's go ahead and check it out. Oh, this is so interesting. I've never really gotten to play this version of Megaman before because of the fact that this never really got officially released in the States. Oh man, I am getting worked. I got really good at this level on the NES version, man. I'm getting destroyed on this one. Man, they made it really different for this game compared to the NES version. This is crazy. Like, I can't even right now. I just can't even. Can't even beat Flashman. Like, this is terrible. That's nuts. Holy cow, that is a challenge. I really want to play through more of this. Like, Flashman does not beat me, but holy crap, he just beat the crap out of me real hard. Now I'm gonna test out Sonic the Hedgehog because you just gotta play Sonic. Alright, so I have to say, I haven't been able to notice any audio delays in the games I've played so far, but again, I'm not the biggest Genesis buff, and so I'm not the most familiar with them. And Sonic is the only one so far I've been able to notice a slight delay on, and it's not even every time I pick something up. Like, I noticed a slight delay in picking up a ring earlier, but it doesn't sound like a delay to me anymore. Like, it sounds normal. And that really makes me happy, and performance has been absolutely solid, and the visual quality, I'm loving the visual quality. It looks like good emulation. Like, it's not, I don't know, it's probably not going to appeal to the diehard, but for what it is, I'm really enjoying it. Like, this might be the first Mini I'm actually a huge fan of from stock. Alright, so there's one last game we have to check out here before I'm ready to call it with this little first impression, first look, and that is Street Fighter 2. I have plugged in my Retrobit Sega Saturn controller that has 6 buttons to give this guy a try. And I cranked it all the way up so we could see how speed is. Alright, this is not running at... I don't think this is running at the right speed. For the hyper mode that I've chosen, I don't think this is the right speed at all. It feels slow. I don't know. I would have to do a complete side-by-side to really be sure. But, I mean... Like, I don't think it's running at the right speed for this speed setting, but, I mean, the game isn't dropping frames, it's not lagging out, like, it's handling very solid. And that's cool. The left button on the Saturn controller lets you go back to the main menu. So you don't have to hold down start. That's really nice. Alright, so final thoughts here on the Sega Genesis Mini from this quick first impression. I am actually a pretty big fan of this guy. There's an amazing game selection, 42 games, all classics in their own rights, and even some rarities like Tetris here. Like, this is just a fantastic game collection. Controls felt solid, input lag felt good, like it didn't feel like my controls weren't responding, as you saw when I was playing Sonic, Street Fighter. Like, it just looks like it felt good. So that makes me happy. That was one of the things that bugged me about the NES Classic, was that the controls just didn't feel right. And it just bugged me. So I'm happy to see that the Genesis controls feel better to me. I mean, everyone's going to be different depending on your TV setup and your sensitivity to such things as input lag, but to me, this feels solid. As far as emulation quality goes, I am happy with the 5-6 games I've tried out so far in terms of graphical quality. There wasn't any really standout issues that I could tell, so good job M2 on that. And then as far as the audio issues are concerned, I couldn't tell. There was that one ring sound in Sonic that I thought maybe sounded a bit off, but the rest of the games have sounded fine to me. Like, I haven't noticed. I mean, if I did a direct side-by-side comparison, sure, there'd probably be a more noticeable difference, but again, this isn't really meant to be like the diehards Genesis solution. Like, if you're a diehard Genesis fan, you are going to have a real Genesis. You're probably going to have a couple of mods installed in it, like the audio bypass, RGB, like the full shebang. So, I mean, this isn't really meant for you. But for the casual market it is meant for, like, this is completely good. Very passable, great price point, great game selection. I'm a big fan. I like it. I think it turned out well. This is a great collectible, and again, a great way to get expensive games like Phantasy Star 4 or Castlevania and Contra. So honestly, if you were on the fence about picking up a Genesis Mini based on the early reports of sound problems and stuff, this is just one person's opinion, but honestly, I don't think it's as bad as everyone makes it out to be. I say give it a shot, see what you think for yourself. But anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Alright everybody, thank you so much for making it to the end of today's unboxing / first impressions video. I really appreciate you sticking around, hearing my thoughts on this guy. Again, I am relatively impressed so far. I think it is probably the best mini console to be released to date compared to Nintendo's offering and Sony's botched offering. And just a lot of detail went into the overall package, from the box to the system itself to the menu, like language selection, bringing up different versions of the ROMs, like, and box arts. Like, that's awesome. Some diehards might notice a delay in the audio. If you're not as diehard for Genesis, you probably wouldn't even be able to tell, like myself. So again, I don't consider that a major deal breaker, because if that is going to be a deal breaker for you, you probably already have a full Genesis setup to begin with. Anyway, I think the Genesis Mini is a friggin' fantastic little system. And again, I think it's worth checking out if you're interested. If any of you are interested in me possibly doing a full review for the Genesis Mini, please let me know in the comments, because I could do a lot of side-by-sides with my own RGB Genesis setup, really deep dive into it, see how good the quality of the emulation is, the accuracy, sound, everything. Like, I could do a full deep dive of this if you guys are interested. So just let me know in the comments. If there's enough interest, I will definitely consider doing that over the next month. But if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, thumbs up, thumbs down button, just depending how much you like today's video. It really goes a long way to helping out my channel grow, and I really appreciate any help you guys can give We're pushing towards 5,000 subs, and it has been quite a journey, so thank you for being a part of that. If you'd like to further help support the channel, you can always click that join button here on YouTube and get awesome emotes for whenever I do live streams. Or you can click the Patreon link in the bottom right corner of the video screen, and for as little as $1 a month, directly contribute to bringing more content to you just like this. As always, thank you so much for your consideration. Until next time, stay awesome, have wonderful days, and we will see you all back next video.